The story begins with a young boy named Peter Parker, who is playing hide and seek inside his house. While hiding, he accidentally enters his father's study. As soon as he steps inside, he notices something strange. The entire room is a mess, like someone has been searching for something. Confused and scared, Peter calls out for his dad. His father, Richard Parker, rushes into the room. He's a scientist, and the moment he sees the condition of the room, he immediately understands that someone was trying to find his secret documents. Richard quickly checks his hidden cabinet to make sure the file is still there, and luckily, it is. But this only makes things worse. He realizes that whoever came looking for it will definitely return. Knowing that it's no longer safe, he makes a sudden decision. He takes Peter and his wife and leaves immediately, dropping Peter off at Uncle Ben and Aunt May's house. There, Richard tells Peter that he'll have to stay with them for a few days and promises to come back for him soon. Peter begs to go with his parents, but Richard refuses. Moments later, Peter watches helplessly as his parents leave, not knowing it will be the last time he sees them. Years later, Peter has grown into a high school student. He's a quiet, intelligent kid who loves science and has a passion for photography. But his shy nature makes him an easy target for bullying, especially from a guy named Flash, who constantly picks on him. One day, while Peter is taking pictures outside, he notices Flash bullying another student. Feeling bad, Peter steps in and tells Flash to stop. Instead, Flash mocks him and demands that Peter take his picture. When Peter refuses, Flash gets angry and starts hitting him. Just then, a girl named Gwen Stacy steps in and stops the fight. She tells Flash to back off and reminds everyone that class is about to start. Later, Gwen talks to Peter and tells him that what he did was brave, but also a little reckless. When Peter gets home, Aunt May notices his injuries and asks what happened. Peter lies, saying he fell while skateboarding. Later, Uncle Ben takes Peter down to the basement to help him fix a broken freezer. While helping out, Peter discovers an old bag, one he remembers from his childhood. It belonged to his father. Curious, Peter takes it upstairs and starts going through it. Seeing the bag brings back painful memories, especially since he believes his parents died in a plane crash. Uncle Ben explains that Richard had asked him to keep the bag safe. He even shares a small story how Richard bought that bag from a store owned by Peter's mother, and that's actually where they first met. Peter feels like there's nothing special about the bag, but something still doesn't feel right. Aunt May tells him that his father was a very secretive man. He never shared everything, even with the people closest to him. As Peter continues searching through the bag, he finds an old photograph of his father standing next to another man. When he asks about it, Uncle Ben says the man's name is Kurt Connors, his father's former partner, but admits he doesn't know much more than that. That night, alone in his room, Peter carefully examines everything inside the bag. He finds his father's glasses and tries them on, remembering the last words his father said before leaving. As he keeps searching, he discovers something hidden, a secret compartment. Inside it is the same mysterious file his father had protected years ago. When Peter opens it, he finds a complex formula labeled as the decay rate algorithm. He doesn't fully understand it, but he knows it's important. Just then, Uncle Ben knocks on the door, and Peter quickly hides the file. Ben walks in, smiles, and tells Peter that with those glasses on, he looks just like his father. He gently reminds Peter that he understands what it feels like to grow up without parents. Then before leaving, he tells Peter one last thing, that Kurt Connors and his father were very close. But after Richard disappeared, Connors never reached out again, which always felt strange. And with that mystery growing deeper, Peter's journey is about to begin. Peter finds everything incredibly strange, so he starts digging into the past, trying to learn more about his father, Richard Parker, and Dr. Kurt Connors. After some research, he discovers that both of them were working on a groundbreaking project. Their goal was to combine the DNA of different species to create a world where human imperfections could be eliminated. But after Richard Parker's death, that dream was left unfinished. Meanwhile, Kurt Connors is still continuing that same research at Oscorp Industries. Determined to uncover the truth, Peter decides to go to Oscorp. He sneaks inside by blending in with a group of college students. While exploring, he suddenly realizes something shocking. Gwen Stacy is actually working there as Dr. Connors' assistant. Not wanting to get caught, Peter tries to stay out of sight. As Gwen leads the group forward, Peter accidentally bumps into a man named Rajit Ratha, causing him to drop his files. When Peter helps pick them up, he notices a familiar symbol, the exact same one from his father's secret file. Curious, Peter secretly follows him. Rajit enters a restricted biocable development lab, speaks briefly with someone, and then leaves. Taking advantage of the moment, Peter sneaks inside the lab. There, he sees something incredible, machines producing bioengineered spider silk. As he reaches out and touches one of the threads, the system suddenly shuts down, and dozens of genetically modified spiders begin crawling all over him. Panicking, Peter quickly brushes them off and escapes. At the same time, Dr. Connors is speaking with Rajit Ratha. He explains that they still haven't solved the decay rate algorithm, which is preventing them from successfully combining genetic structures. Without it, their entire project is stuck. Rajit pressures him, saying they're running out of time because Norman Osborn, the founder of Oscorp, is dying. This news puts Connors under immense stress. As Peter tries to leave the building, Gwen notices him and they briefly talk. But suddenly, one of the modified spiders bites Peter. The pain hits instantly. Confused and shaken, Peter heads home. On the subway ride back, a group of people starts harassing him, but something strange begins happening. The spider bite is changing him. His strength increases rapidly, his reflexes sharpen, and without even realizing it, he starts fighting back with incredible power. Terrified and confused, Peter runs home. Even there, his behavior becomes unusual. His aunt and uncle notice something's wrong. He grabs food from the fridge and rushes to his room. That's when he sees the dead spider on his neck, the same one that bit him. At that moment, Peter realizes this is what's causing everything. The next morning, the changes become even more intense. He accidentally breaks things just by touching them. When he goes to the bathroom, even the faucet snaps off under his grip. He starts panicking. Then he notices something even stranger. He can hear the tiniest movements, even small creatures around him. His hands and feet begin sticking to surfaces, allowing him to climb walls. Trying to understand what's happening, Peter goes back to his father's file and studies the decay rate algorithm. He also reads Dr. Connors' research book to connect the pieces. Eventually, he decides to meet Connors in person. He visits his home, but Connors is surprised and tells him this isn't his office, it's his house. Peter reveals the truth. He's Richard Parker's son. Hearing this shocks Connors. He immediately invites Peter inside. Peter tells him he has read his work and admires it. Connors explains how their research was once ridiculed. People called them crazy scientists for trying to combine species. But everything changed when Richard created those genetically modified spiders. Their results were revolutionary. They could have changed millions of lives, including Connor's own. But after Richard's sudden death, everything fell apart. Peter then asks a deeper question. If two species are combined, how much can the foreign DNA take over the human body? And what side effects could occur? Connors admits that it's unpredictable. Every test subject has died, and the biggest problem has always been the missing piece, the decay rate algorithm. At that moment, Peter writes the correct formula on a nearby paper. Connors is stunned. He asks Peter how he figured it out. Peter simply replies, "I worked it out in my head." Realizing Peter's brilliance, Connors offers him a chance to work together and asks if he'd like to come to the lab after college every day. Peter agrees, not knowing this decision is about to change his life forever. That night, Dr. Kurt Connors studies the completed algorithm and is overwhelmed with excitement. For him, this isn't just science anymore, it's hope. He looks at his missing arm and realizes that this breakthrough could finally help him regenerate it. The next day at school, Flash is once again bullying another student. This time, Peter steps in, but instead of being scared, something feels different. He takes Flash's basketball and challenges him, saying, "If you want it, come get it." Flash tries, but Peter's speed and reflexes are on another level now. He moves the ball so fast that Flash can't even touch it. The entire class starts laughing as Peter effortlessly humiliates him. When Flash tries again, Peter sticks the ball to his hand using his new powers. Furious, Flash charges at him, but Peter jumps high into the air and dunks the ball straight into the hoop, breaking it completely. The stunt gets Peter into trouble, and he's given punishment. Uncle Ben is called to the school, and he's clearly upset. On the way home, Ben scolds Peter, asking if humiliating someone made him feel better. Peter defends himself, saying Flash deserved it because he always bullies others. But Uncle Ben reminds him that his actions have consequences. He even had to change his work shift because of this. He tells Peter that since he'll be working late, Peter must pick up Aunt May that evening. Later, Gwen approaches Peter and checks on him. He tells her it's just punishment, nothing serious, and the two share a quiet moment. After school, Peter begins experimenting with his powers at home, testing his strength, agility, and wall climbing abilities. For the first time, he feels confident, even happy. Soon after, Peter visits Dr. Connors' lab. Connors explains how lizards have the ability to regenerate lost limbs and how their DNA could be used to heal human injuries. He asks Peter to input the decay rate algorithm into the system. As soon as Peter does, they witness something incredible. A lab mouse begins regenerating its missing leg in real time. Connors is amazed. For the first time, their experiment works. He thanks Peter, knowing this discovery could change everything. But when Peter returns home, things take a serious turn. Uncle Ben is angry because Peter didn't pick up Aunt May like he promised. He tells Peter to apologize, and although Aunt May forgives him, Ben continues the conversation. He reminds Peter that his father believed in responsibility, that if you have the power to help others, it's your duty to do so. Peter, still emotional, snaps back. He says it's easy to talk about responsibility, but his father should have stayed and taught him those things himself. Hurt and angry, Peter storms out of the house. Uncle Ben, worried, goes out to look for him. Meanwhile, Peter stops at a convenience store to buy a drink, but he doesn't have enough money. The cashier rudely refuses him and tells him to leave. Just then, a thief enters the store and knocks things over. While the cashier is distracted, the thief grabs cash from the register and runs out. Peter sees everything, but does nothing. The cashier rushes outside and begs Peter to stop the thief, but Peter coldly replies, "That's not my problem," and walks away. Moments later, chaos unfolds. The thief runs down the street but slips and drops his gun. Uncle Ben arrives at the scene and tries to stop him. In a sudden struggle, the gun goes off. The gunshot echoes. Peter hears it and rushes toward the sound, only to find Uncle Ben lying on the ground. Time seems to stop. Peter drops to his knees, holding his uncle. Overwhelmed with shock and grief, the weight of what just happened crashes down on him, and in that moment everything changes. After Uncle Ben's death, Aunt May is completely heartbroken. The police begin investigating and create a sketch of the suspect. They announce that posters will be spread across the city so the killer can be found. Peter takes one of those posters, and the officer tells him a key detail. The suspect has a star-shaped tattoo on his left hand. Peter is devastated. He has now lost both his parents and his uncle. That night, after making sure Aunt May is asleep, he quietly leaves the house, determined to find the man responsible. Soon he spots someone who looks like the killer and attacks him in rage, but things quickly spiral out of control as the man's partners jump in and start chasing Peter. Using his new abilities, Peter escapes and climbs onto a rooftop. There, he finds the same man again and hangs him upside down from the roof. But when he checks the man's left hand, there's no star tattoo. Realizing he got the wrong person, Peter pulls him back up and lets him go. As he's leaving, he suddenly falls into a wrestling ring below, where a group of criminals warn him. They've seen his face, and next time, he won't be so lucky. While looking around, Peter notices a mask lying nearby. That moment sparks an idea. He goes home, sketches out a design, and creates his own mask by hand. Soon after, he sees a news report about Oscorp's bioengineered spider cables, strong enough to pull an entire airplane. That inspires him to build web shooting devices. After multiple attempts, he finally succeeds. He designs a full suit to match, and just like that, Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man. That same night, he stops a car thief using his new powers. He plays with him a bit, testing his abilities, but when he checks the thief's hand, no tattoo again. Just then the police arrive. They misunderstand the situation and start firing at Spider-Man. Peter quickly disarms one of the officers and escapes as the entire police force begins chasing him. Despite their efforts, they can't catch him. When Peter returns home, Aunt May sees the injuries on his face and becomes worried. She asks where he's been and who's doing this to him, but Peter stays silent. She gently tells him something important. If you want to keep a secret, it always comes with a cost. Someone always pays for it, either you or someone you love. Those words stay with Peter as he walks back to his room. Meanwhile, Dr. Connors informs Rajit Ratha that the formula is finally working. The lab mouse has successfully regrown its leg, but Ratha pushes him further, demanding human trials immediately. Connors refuses, saying the research isn't ready yet. Ratha suggests testing it on people without their consent, starting with hospital patients. Shocked, Connors firmly rejects the idea. Ratha then reminds him that Richard Parker once said the same thing and warns him to remember what happened to him. When Connors still refuses, Ratha fires him and orders him to leave Oscorp by morning, crushing his hopes of ever restoring his arm. Back at Peter's side, life continues. On his way home from college, Gwen approaches him and invites him over for dinner. It's clear she has started to like him. Connors, desperate and broken, stares at his missing arm. With no other option left, he makes a dangerous decision. He injects himself with the formula. Instantly, the pain is unbearable as his body begins to change. Meanwhile, Peter sneaks into Gwen's house through the window and brings her flowers, but they've already wilted, so he awkwardly hides them again. Just then, Gwen's father, Captain George Stacy, a police officer, walks in. Peter nervously introduces himself. At that same moment, Connors notices something unbelievable. His missing arm has fully regenerated. Overwhelmed with excitement, he calls Rajat Ratha, but learns he's on his way to another hospital. Connors rushes out to stop him, but now the formula's side effects are beginning to take over. After dinner, Peter steps outside with Gwen, trying to talk to her. He wants to tell her the truth, that he's Spider-Man, but he just can't say it. His behavior seems strange to Gwen, and she starts to walk away. In that moment, Peter instinctively uses his web to stop her, and that's when Gwen realizes the truth. Peter is Spider-Man. At the same time, Dr. Connors has fully transformed into a giant lizard creature. He's on a bridge, desperately searching for Rajat Ratha, the man he blames for everything that's happened to him. In his rage, Connors starts throwing cars off the bridge. Peter arrives just in time and uses his webs to stop the falling vehicles, saving countless lives. Connors finally finds Ratha and attacks his car, throwing it off the bridge, but once again, Peter saves him. As the formula begins to wear off, Connors weakens, and Peter tries to capture him. But then Peter notices something else. A child trapped inside a hanging car. Without hesitation, he rushes to save the kid and safely returns him to his father. Grateful and emotional, the man asks Peter who he is, and Peter simply replies, "I'm Spider-Man." Later, Peter returns home, while Connors turns back into his normal human form. When Peter visits Connors' lab, he finds it completely empty, except for a single injection of the formula. Just then, Connors appears and tells Peter he's given the entire staff a week off because he's starting a new project. He leaves, acting suspicious. As Peter is leaving, he notices something shocking. The lab mouse they experimented on has completely transformed into a lizard. At that moment, Peter realizes the truth. The formula is unstable, and Connors has become something dangerous. On his way back, Peter notices dozens of lizards crawling through the sewer system in one direction. He follows them underground and waits. Meanwhile, Connors has secretly set up a lab in the sewers and injects himself again, transforming back into the lizard. But a brutal fight begins between Spider-Man and the lizard. Connors is now far stronger, easily overpowering Peter and severely injuring him. They both fall into the water, damaging Peter's web shooters. With no choice left, Peter escapes through a narrow pipe. As Connors heads back, he finds Peter's camera, labeled with the name Peter Parker. In that moment, he realizes Spider-Man's true identity. Badly injured, Peter goes to Gwen's house. Seeing him hurt, Gwen is devastated, and she treats his wounds. Later, the two share a quiet moment together, growing closer. Meanwhile, Connors, now back in human form, makes a terrifying decision. He will fully embrace his transformation and turn every human into a lizard, believing it will eliminate all weakness from the world. He goes to Peter's school to find him. Chaos breaks out as students run in panic. Connors attacks Peter, trying to kill him. In the middle of the chaos, Peter spots his bag. Inside is his suit. He quickly grabs it, changes, and faces Connors as Spider-Man once again. Their fight intensifies. Peter manages to trap Connors with his webs, but it doesn't hold him for long. Connors breaks free, and the battle continues. Eventually, Peter is thrown aside, and when he gets back up, Connors is gone. Peter follows him into the tunnels, where he calls Gwen and urgently tells her to go to Oscorp and create an antidote. Gwen immediately heads there. Meanwhile, Peter discovers Connors' full plan. He intends to use a massive dispersal device at Oscorp to turn his formula into a gas and spread it across the entire city, transforming everyone into lizards. Realizing the danger, Peter tries to call Gwen again, but she doesn't answer. With no time left, Spider-Man races toward Oscorp to stop him. At the same time, Captain Stacy orders his entire force to capture Spider-Man, while also preparing to stop the lizard. As Dr. Connors heads toward Oscorp, police officers try to stop him on the way, but Connors attacks them using his chemical gas. One by one, the officers begin transforming into lizard-like creatures. Meanwhile, Peter is on his way to Oscorp, but Captain Stacy and his team intercept him. Peter fights back, but Stacy points a gun at him. In that moment, Peter removes his mask, revealing his identity. Stacy is shocked. Peter quickly explains that Dr. Connors is heading to Oscorp and Gwen is in danger. He insists that only he can save her. Stacy hesitates, but before Peter can leave, one officer fires a shot, hitting Peter in the leg. Injured but determined, Peter continues forward. Just as she finishes, Dr. Connors appears to take the dispersal device. Gwen tries to stop him, but Connors ignores her and leaves with the machine. Now everything is at risk. News spreads across the city that Spider-Man is injured and may not reach Oscorp in time. The man whose child Peter saved earlier sees this on TV. Wanting to repay him, he gathers his co-workers and redirects all the city cranes, lining them up like a path across the skyline. Peter sees this incredible support and pushes forward, swinging across the cranes toward Oscorp. Back at Oscorp, Gwen prepares to go help Spider-Man, but her father arrives and stops her. He tells her to go home. Gwen refuses, but Stacy reveals that he knows Peter is Spider-Man. He takes the antidote from her and promises he'll help. Inside Oscorp, Dr. Connors activates the machine, releasing the serum into the air. Peter finally arrives, and a brutal fight begins. Connors overpowers Peter, destroys his web shooters, and nearly kills him. Just in time, Captain Stacy joins the fight. Together, they take on Connors. Stacy gives Peter the antidote and tells him to finish it. He'll hold Connors off. Peter climbs the tower. While below, Connors recovers and fatally injures Stacy. Then he rushes to stop Peter, but he's too late. Peter replaces the serum with the antidote, and the machine releases it across the city. The antidote spreads through the air, reversing the transformation. Connors turns back into a human again. Peter rushes back to Captain Stacy, but he's badly wounded. With his final breaths, Stacy tells Peter, "I was wrong about you. This city needs you." He hands Peter his mask and makes him promise one thing: stay away from Gwen to keep her safe. Peter, heartbroken, agrees. Captain Stacy dies, and Connors is later taken into custody. At Stacy's funeral, Peter watches from a distance. Gwen senses him, but he stays hidden. Later, Gwen comes to Peter's house, but Peter tells her they can't be together anymore. Gwen understands the truth. Peter is keeping his promise to her father. She leaves, and they stop talking. But deep down, Peter knows he can't stay away from her forever. Later, he meets Gwen again and says softly, "Some promises are meant to be broken." They reconnect. And now Peter fully embraces his destiny, becoming Spider-Man, protecting the city from danger. Check out this video where a baby girl gets bitten by a spider at birth and grows up with incredible powers no one saw coming. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Watch it now.